Are you tired of looking like this after a night on Prizepicks? For the price of that Big Mac combo you chowed down on this week, get access to hundreds of picks. Connect your Discord to WAP with the link in the description and be added straight to the premium Discord. We'll be sending every single Prizepicks slip we place.
Let's get some Prizepicks in today. Last night's picks went 1 and 2, so we took Kevin Durant, Grayson Allen, and Harrison Barnes. And honestly, this was looking so good. I think Grayson Allen had this in the first quarter. I want to say it was very early. He was popping off. He dropped more than 20 points, I think like 25. Kevin Durant had 3 assists at the half, and Harrison Barnes also had 8 points at the half. I thought at least Harrison Barnes was going to cash and maybe Kevin Durant push, but no, they had other plans. They even made it tight near the end. It was a bit of a blowout, and then the Phoenix Suns came back and absolutely destroyed Sacramento, but could not pull through with these 2 props. So 1 and 2 day there. And the other night on Monday, I did a week 8 recap of my Discord, and I said it was a negative day, minus 20.7 units on the week for Prizepicks. And I said I wasn't worried because, it's just a little downturn in the Discord profits. It's going to bounce back up. That's exactly what happened last night. We cashed this college basketball play here, 5 into 125 or a 25xer. So that's the thing. Like if you're losing a lot on 6 flexes, you only need 1 6 flex because you're getting paid 25x on them to basically catch up on all your losses. Because if I lose 24 straight, I just need 125x to kind of replenish all that. That's kind of what happened last week. We didn't hit many 6 flexes. You hit one, kind of replenishes all losses, and now we're already up 4.7 units on top of that big loss from last week. It's kind of the idea when you're playing a lot of 6 flexes. This is the correct way to play Prizepicks. I know a lot of people are still playing 2 powers. Trust me, you'll never win in the long run like that. If you guys have been playing 2 powers, let me know how much your bankroll has actually been increasing time over time with all the time you've been playing on Prizepicks. I guarantee not many of you are making money. Probably none of you are making money, to be honest. But we'll get onto the board for today. I have 3 more picks for tonight, and we're going to start off with the Atlanta Hawks on Jaylen Johnson's over 14.5 points. Of course, DeAndre Hunter is still out. Let's take a look at the juice I found on him and why we're even looking at him in the first place. Jaylen Johnson over 14.5 is juiced to minus 128. That's very good, 56.14% hit rate. There's also Jalen Green here under 17.5 points. I'm not going to be explaining him in this video. That's very heavy juice. So if you guys want Jalen Green under 17.5 points, definitely go for it. He's probably going to get moved by the time you guys watch this, though, I'm going to be honest. So Jaylen Johnson is the one I'm going to be going over. You can see on one sportsbook, FanDuel, he is set at 15.5. So already that's a good indicator that he might be too low. DraftKings, Caesars, BetMGM, and PointsBet all have him at 14.5. And like I said, the juice is about at a 56% likeness for him to go over. So of course, you never want to take the under on this. Overall, he has hit the over 15.5 52% of the time this season. If we drop that down to 14.5, it doesn't change, but it still is nice to get that extra point. So he does get the 16 quite often, but if he gets to 15, you're going to want that extra point. So tonight they are playing against Orlando. Strong defense. They got 4th in points allowed, 5th in rebounds allowed, and 1st in assists allowed. But Atlanta is playing at home, and it is a decently tight spread, -4. So this should be a tight game. I said that about the Sacramento game last night. Technically, it was a tight game near the end, but, Sacramento was kind of blowing out the Suns for a bit. But again, it should be a tight game. Spreads are not really an indicator of anything. Sometimes it can be like a -12.5 spread and still be a tight game. So it's just good to look at because maybe there is a potential increase in minutes during these tight spread games. So we're going to go take a look at more splits being at home tonight, where he has slightly better splits at a 57% hit rate. What mostly matters here, obviously, is that DeAndre Hunter is out and how much minutes are we going to protect for Jaylen Johnson tonight. So first of all, with DeAndre out, of course, he has slightly better splits. It's only been 10 games, but 6 out of 10 times he has cleared this. And he comes pretty close here, 12 points. I know it's not exactly near that 14.5, but still, it's not like he's getting 5 points per game when he's not hitting this. He only hit a low point mark versus Washington this one game here. Now, the Hawks actually have played Orlando twice this season. Once was without DeAndre Hunter, where he only dropped 12 points. And once was actually with DeAndre Hunter here in November, where he dropped 19 points. I'm not really worried about Orlando's strong defense in terms of him being able to clear this. I think he'll still be able. The question is, will he get the minutes to be able to clear this? And I think he will. I mean, in the last 5, he has hit this 3 out of 5 times, but mostly what I'm looking at are these minutes. 37.4 average. His lowest minutes in the past 5 games was 32.5. Last time he got 40 minutes was versus Orlando, actually, and that was at Orlando. So maybe at home it's going to be slightly different. But honestly, I'm just really liking these minutes here. 37.4 average is quite high. So we can take a look at how he plays with 30 minutes plus, and I think he easily clears 30 minutes tonight. That's not really my concern. Will he get 40? That's going to help us even more, but for sure 30 plus. He has hit this 69% of the time this season, averaging 15.9 points. Now let's also put him at home and without DeAndre Hunter, and he has hit this 4 out of 5 times. The only time he didn't hit it was in this game versus Washington, as I said previously, and if you remember what happened in this game, the Hawks just played awful. Every starter did terribly. I mean, Sadiq Bey is the only one that probably went over his points prop. Trae Young didn't play good. no one played good that game, and Jaylen Johnson still got 36 minutes and only got 5 points. It was a rough one for the Hawks. So let's see if they actually play a competitive game tonight. This should pretty much clear easily on the over 14.5 points. Next, we're going to be going over to Houston, and I'm going to be taking the main man himself, not Sengun, not Van Vliet, but Dillon, the villain Brooks. We're going to grab him on the over 11.5 points. I love this prop. I take it quite often. We're going to go and inspect him a little bit on props.cash here. So overall, you could see he has hit this 57% of the time this season. He is back from injury recently, but he has been playing well in the 2 games. Cleared this in both games actually, so 12 points and 18. But they are up against the Knicks tonight, but they're playing away. You might think it's a bit concerning. They're playing away. Knicks, pretty strong defensive team. -5 spread. Still pretty tight game, but you know Dillon. You know how he is here. Away, he has actually better splits. 11 out of 15 times he has cleared this, and pretty close in this Denver game here. And I don't know which game this was, but 11 points and 10 points there. So I'm pretty happy with his splits away too, averaging 14.9 points this season. Another thing to mention is the juice. So it looks a bit conflicted across the sportsbooks. Caesars and BetMGM actually have juice towards the under, FanDuel flat, and then PointsBet and DraftKings have him juice towards the over. What we have him projected at using sort of sharper sportsbooks is -122. 55% likeness for him to go over. So I'm definitely liking the over here, but I'm liking the over for even more reasons than that. So as I just went over, the away splits are great. The season splits are great. And I wish they did play the Knicks this season, but they didn't. I mean, if we want to go back to 2022, I wouldn't really do that. But in the last 5, let's see how he's kind of going with the minutes. So in his return, he got 25 minutes and 31.4. So pretty decent minutes there. His season average is about 30.8 minutes. But let's say he gets around 25 to 35 minutes, which does seem realistic, especially if this game does end up being tight. He has hit this 53% of the time this season. And of course, we could also check some minute projections to see what we got going on here. So on RotoWire, he's projected at 31 minutes. I think 25 is a bit conservative, but 31 minutes on RotoWire, 30 on this other site here. Obviously, the 25 to 35 minute band is pretty realistic, but let's say he does get like 30 to 40 minutes. Look at his hit rate, 86% hit rate. That includes games from 30 minutes all the way to 40.6. So it is a lot of minutes, but if he is getting this 40 minutes, I think it cashes very, very easily. 86% hit rate is great to see on that. Next, we're going to be pairing this up. So kind of like we did with KD and Grayson Allen yesterday, which didn't end up panning through. We're going to go with Sengun. I'm loving Sengun on the 4 assists. So this line normally set at like 4.5, 4. At the 4, it's always a great pick to take the over. And we'll take a look at why. So Sengun's over 4.5 assists has hit 56% of the time this season. And you could see on the sports books, PointsBet and DraftKings actually don't even have that much juice towards the under, which is good to see. That's probably an indicator that this line probably should be set at 4.5. We're getting that 4 on Prizepicks, so we're going to take that extra half point in our favor. The other books do have his heavy juice towards the under, but anyways, we're getting that 4. The juice doesn't really matter in this case because we're not getting that 4.5. If we were, we'd probably take the under, but anyways, that's a different story. At 4, it's a great pick, and look at this, 56% hit rate at 4.5. At 4, you have a 69% hit rate, which essentially means you're only losing this prop 31% of the time if you were to take it all season at 4 assists, and you're going to at least push it 69% of the time. So take a look at some more splits. As I just went over, they are up against the Knicks. 12th in assists allowed, which isn't that bad. And I also forgot to mention 12th in 3 points allowed. You know Dillon Brooks does use that 3 ball quite often. He's probably going to get at least 2 threes tonight, but if he gets 3, it's looking even better. So although the Knicks defense is strong, you know, versus the assist, which we need for Sengun, and the 3 ball, which we need for Brooks, it's looking decent at least. Now again, Sengun is another player on this Houston team, which does sort of benefit from the away splits. 75% of the time this season, away, we have at least pushed this 4 assists. But what really matters is Dillon Brooks being back in the lineup where the splits actually get even higher. 19 out of 25 times at least push. Let's see if we want to win. Still good. 63% of the time, he's still cleared this over 4.5 assists. So everything's kind of pointing to this 4 being very good. And I still think there's a great chance that he still goes over the 4.5 assists. So that's with Dillon Brooks. And one last thing to check is these minutes. So in this last 5 games, with Dillon Brooks back, pretty much identical minutes to Brooks. If you remember, I think Brooks was at about 24 minutes or 25 this game, and then about 31 in this game. So you do expect these guys to play together. Of course, they're both starters, and most of the time they're on the court together. So since we projected 25 to 35 minutes for Mr. Dillon Brooks here, we're going to check the exact same splits for Sengun and see how he does. So this is on the over 4.5 assists. Has hit this 62% of the time this season with 25 to 35 minutes. And with Dillon Brooks. But let's just check in general, 54% of the time this season with this minute, 25 to 35. And then let's check the 4. How often are we pushing this? again, 71%. So a lot of times we check these kind of splits, it's always around that 70% chance that he's going to at least push this. So I'm loving this as a push line and a nice pairing with Dillon Brooks. And then we got Jaylen Johnson on the over 14.5. I just want to check if Jalen Green is still up as I'm recording this. So Jalen Green, I saw heavy juice on him on the under 17.5 points. Listen, I didn't look too deep into him on Props.cash, so I'm not going to give it as an official pick, but I was recording this. So 58% hit rate that he goes under 17.5 points. Technically, you could make, I wouldn't even throw it in an entry with these two guys, but technically you can make an argument that if Dillon Brooks is getting points and hitting his points props, could be that Jalen Green is slacking. Maybe he's not getting his points. Anyways, I would throw Jalen Green in a different entry if you guys do like that pick. Again, I didn't look too deep into it, but just the juice really tells you that the under 17.5 is the good play. So these are my 3 official picks for tonight. Jaylen Johnson over points, Brooks over 11.5 points, and then Sengun over 4 assists. Good luck.